Welcome back to Reactioncast. It's your host Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus, here to give you another series review. This time around, we're going to be talking about Dimension 20's Neverafter.
Princess, you wake up. You can't move. It's hard to see. You can't close your eyes. You can't close your mouth. In a twitch of movement, there's sudden pain. And you can feel a sharp tug from the inside of your body.
And we're back with another Dimension 20, the 15th season to be specific. And for sure, this hardcore themed, like horror theme, like for sure one of their darker series compared to the rest, where features our original intrepid heroes take on some fairy tale characters in some dark settings, or more darker iterations of their settings. Like I said, we get our original crew. We got Brian Murphy as Prince Gerard, basically the Frog Prince, Lou Wilson as Pinocchio, Zach Oyama as Puss in Boots, Siobhan Thompson as Princess Rosamund, a Sleeping Beauty basically, Emily Axford as Ilfa Snargleston, Little Red Riding Hood, and Ali Beardsley as Timothy Goose, basically Mother Goose. And these are so you get this very interesting dark world setting, a little bit more heavy with the tones. And I like this. When I originally heard this, I was like, all right, we're in this, let's go. And how many? This one has 20 episodes, of which it's one of the more longer settings, I would say. It spans a lot of content. If you would say roughly 2 hours, there's like 40 hours of content in this. And it is interesting for sure. I would say this, without counting all the ones that have like sequential seasons, this has some of the more interesting character developments as far as individuals, because of how long the campaign lasts, 20 episodes. And for sure, it is one of the more, I would say saying narrative heavy is hard. It has a lot of really fun play sets that you get to see, and a lot of world building like Brennan's worlds usually do have, and overall Dimension 20 has a good job. The few things that I would say, and I've noticed within the community, it is one of the more, saying convoluted is a little tough, but a bit confusing at times, plot. Like, for the most part, if you're really trying to delve into the world lore of Neverafter, there are some very simple plot that there is, but there's a lot of nuances if you're really willing to invest yourself into a lot. Because for sure, when dealing with like actual play content, the story is over directed, technically speaking, by the DM, this being Brennan, and then being continued on with the player character. So there's a lot of different spots that characters can move, and different characters that can be met and interacted with, that can increase the lore or some explanations. For sure, there are a couple episodes there are characters mentioned that could have helped increase the world a little bit more, but they were never able to. Now, that's to say that's just how actual plays are at the most part. When you're at home, sometimes you miss a character here or you miss an event there, and it just diverges. Even though for the most part, sometimes it's not railroaded, it has a beginning to end when it comes to Dimension 20 series. But if you've watched any of the, why can't I think about it? Some of the after shows, the ones that come after, there were mentions that there were a couple people that were not talked to, that could have had some more lore added to the world or explanations. For sure, some of the mechanics to this event, this level of corruption that is of the world being torn apart in these fairy tales, very interesting overall. Just because having this nice like horror element. For sure, the descriptions when it came to a lot of the background or even in-world stuff or in the moment things for sure were pretty gruesome and really fun in a different state, because you get some of these very light-hearted ones, like they're like really bad sometimes, but not by bad I mean they're like, ooh, I don't want that to happen to me. But this time around they were like, ooh, they are like, they're pulling at your intestines, not your heartstrings. I enjoyed it overall. I would like the finale itself. It is a 2-part finale, which is interesting. I'll say that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is a 2-part finale, and it leaves some interesting, because when dealing with overall just a show, as always, when I'm thinking about any series, be it television series, movie, or action play series, or even an audio drama, anything, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the finale for me, from where they began to where it ended, I felt I enjoyed it. I will now say that it's not. I was hoping this would be one of my more favorited series for the year, but I'm not saying it's bad. It just was not as engaging for me in particular as I normally have with other series. Like I would watch and listen, because after watching it the first time, I usually re-listen to it at work. So like these like 40 plus hours of content usually gets like listened to a lot more in the long run. But this time around, I didn't feel that motivated, I would say, going back into some of the content. There are some key moments and some character development that I really enjoyed, but was for the most part just like one and done for me. There are certain scenes that I if they were just clipped, I would rewatch, but nothing very, like, there are scenes for sure that I would like for the Dropout team to do the Dropout animated. That would be fun to see over and over. But yeah, this one was like, I'm glad I watched it. It was enjoyable. Not my favorite ending, one of the more funny endings, I would say. It's interesting to say that in a horror genre. I would say humorous in the sense of how everything ended. That's how I would put it. And that's not really giving up a lot. There's like really no spoilers here, because like just the story of all these fairy tale creatures, of a lying Pinocchio boy with Puss in Boots trying to just be small tricksters, and along the way you have Mother Goose and Red Riding Hood from a small town trying to find, I believe, the son of Timothy, and then you have your royalty with Gerard and Rosamund, just trying to get their happily, no, not the happily ever after, well, kind of their happily ever after, basically. And and seeing how this progresses with these monstrous world, like diluted worlds, and kind of getting into these scapes of like interconnecting worlds that are crashing into each other. I really like that. That's what's fun. But like I said, that's when you were starting to get a little bit twisted, when it started to kind of like mix match, and I liked it. And there was just a lot of content and probably a lot of context sometimes that was lost here and there. Like I said, like it takes a lot. There's 40 hours of content, and unless you're like paying heavily attention, it's like I wish there was more YouTube videos that kind of helps explore some of the worlds, or maybe if there isn't, you guys can link down below. There's like a YouTube channel that kind of like helps like explore some of this, because I'm a big fan when it comes to like certain stories or certain series or something that kind of help like increase some lore of the world that's like they've noticed here and there, and for sure, Neverafter had a very interesting world with some dark humor, to say the least, I would say. But yeah, those are my thoughts for Neverafter. I'm gonna give this one a solid 7. Like, there was some good emotion, there was some good development, but I don't know, it just wasn't for me the thing that really pulled at me. It was a good series to watch. I liked some of the sequences, some of the, like I said, like sometimes the mood that is the dice roll, and I felt this is just how I felt. It's just some of those, there were some key moments that were like, oh, but it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't pull for me sometimes. This season, but it's still a good show, I would say. So yeah, Neverafter, a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of this series or what this season down below. If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. If you're listening to this on Spotify or any podcasting platform, you can always leave a note down below. So thank you again for listening or watching. Until next time, see ya. See ya. See ya.